Good day, everyone. And for today's session, we'll be discussing felonies. Again, I'd like to believe that you have been reading in advance your CODAL or your RPC, Revised Penal Code of the Philippines. So let us now try to understand what is a felony. These are actually acts or omissions punishable by law or specifically by the Revised Penal Code. As to the manner of commission, felonies can be classified into either intentional or culpable. That's why there are words here, dolo or culpa. Now, felonies can be classified with respect to penalties prescribed for their commission. They can either be grave felonies, they can also be less grave felonies, they can be light felonies. When you speak of grave felonies, those are, which the law attaches the capital punishment or penalties which in any of their periods are afflictive under the Article 25 of the Revised Penal Code. We will go into that in details in the succeeding sessions. When you speak of less grave felonies, it means that those are which the law punishes with penalties with a maximum period of correctional. That's again still under Article 25 of the Revised Penal Code. When you speak of light felonies, those are mere infractions of the law for which the penalty of arresto minor or a fine not exceeding 40,000 pesos or both are prescribed. Now, if you will try to look into further categorizing felonies or crimes, they can also be classified according to their stages of execution. Because you can say a crime is in its attempted stage, it can also be frustrated, or it can also be consummated. So, how can you say that the felony is merely attempted? It means that, when the offender commences the commission of a felony directly or through overt acts, but does not perform all the acts of its execution which should produce the felony by reason of some cause or accident other than his own spontaneous desistance. Ibig sabihin, mayroon siyang binabalak, there is that criminal intent, gagawin na niya lahat, pero hindi niya tinuloy, by reason of some cause or accident other than his own spontaneous desistance, yung siya mismo, yung will niya ay ayaw, So it's merely attempted. Okay. When you speak of a frustrated felony, it refers to when the offender performs all the acts, ginawa na niya lahat, yung acts of execution, which would produce the felony as a consequence, but which, nevertheless, did not produce it by reason of causes independent of the will of the perpetrator. Ibig sabihin, ginawa na niya sa palagay niya lahat ng elements of the crime, believing that the crime is consummated. However, by reasons of causes independent of his own will, hindi na ituloy yun, Halimbawa is, gusto niyang patayin si X, but through a poison. So, kumuha siya ng poison, ang buong akala niya, poison yun, but in fact, there wasn't any poisonous content of the liquid, but it was purely a drink, a refresher drink, or a juice, no? So, pinainom sa kanya, believing that mamamatay through poison, when in fact, it did not happen because the liquid was not a poison. No? So, frustrated. Okay? In comparison to attempted, sa attempted, meron siyang hindi ginawa. No? There are not all of the acts that constitute a crime or the elements of a crime were not all performed. No? Which, if performed, would have produced the crime if all those acts were performed. Now, how about a consummated felony? This refers to when all elements necessary for its execution and accomplishment are present. Ginawa lahat. There is no other external factor that hindered the accomplishment or the execution of the act. At nangyari yung act. Okay? So there is, again, what we call as consummated felony. What are the elements of a criminal liability? Remember, class, it's very important that we are familiar with these elements of a felony. That there must be an act or omission. Okay? That the act or omission must be punishable by the revised penal code. Or it can be in penal law. No? The act is performed or the omission is incurred by means of dolo or malice or culpa or fault. So, dalawang bagay, it can be dolo or culpa. When you speak of dolo, there is malicious intent. When you speak of culpa, there is fault, no? Halimbawa, yung mga omissions, no? So there is fault. Okay. Now, can you distinguish intentional felonies with that of culpable felonies? Yung dolo and also yung culpa. Okay? So, the act, in an intentional felony, the act or omission of the offender is purely malicious. May halong hindi maganda, no? Right from the start, there is malice. May masamang balak. Okay? In the language of Article 3, the act is performed with deliberate intent. Merong pagpaplano. No? Pinag-isipang maigi. Meron talagang intensyon. There is malice. Okay? May masamang balak. The offender in performing the act or in incurring the omission has the deliberate intention to cause an injury to another. Meron talagang masamang balak na maka-injure ng ibang tao. Okay? When you speak of culpable felonies, this refers to, not malicious, obviously, but merely resulting from, an act by the offender to another person that is unintentional because of imprudence, negligence, lack of foresight, or lack of skill. Okay? So, it's simply being the incident of another act performed without malice. Wala yung masamang balak, pero nangyari pa rin, no? Kaya may sinasabing, halimbawa, the case of inexcusable negligence, no? Or lack of precaution. Okay? yan. Pwede yan na mahulog sa mga culpable felonies. What about the elements of an intentional felony? Kailangan sinasaulo din natin to, no? Kailangan memorize din natin yung what do you call these elements of an intentional felony. Okay. This one I have already made mention. Huli yung slide natin, no? But please do catch up because I'm usually more on the speaking. Okay? Medyo nahuli yung pag-click ko sa ating slides. But even then, let us go back to the elements of an intentional felony. Okay? So, one is on freedom, on voluntariness on the part of the person to commit the act or omission. That there must be freedom. No? There must be voluntariness. Kaya nga, may deliberate intent. Pagka yan ay may nakatutok sa iyo na baril, it means you are not, you are threatened, you are intimidated, then it defeats the one of the elements of an intentional felony. Next is intelligence, the capacity to know and understand the consequence of one's act. Baka naman hindi niya naintindihan yung kanyang ginagawa. No? Like the cases of those people who are not in their lucid interval. No? Yung halimbawa, if the act is committed by a minor, no? Wala pa siyang maturity, wala pa siyang yung sinasabi natin na right state of mind to appreciate the facts in or circumstances in the commission of the crime. Okay? And of course, yung pinaka root word ng intentional felony is the criminal intent. Of course, the purpose is to use a particular means to effect an unlawful result. So, this is where the intent to commit an act is with malice. Okay? The mental state, its existence is shown by overt acts. Okay? So all these three requisites of voluntariness in intentional felonies must be present because a voluntary act is a free, intelligent, and an intentional act. Okay? So tatlong bagay, kailangan may freedom, kailangan may intelligence, or the appreciation of the facts. Yung freedom is on the voluntariness, and then the third one is the intent. Okay? That it must be criminal. It's unlawful. It wants to injure others. Okay? To ask what is the difference between a general intent and a specific intent, remember that in felonies committed by dolos, the third element of voluntariness supports a general intent to commit a felony, whereas in some particular felonies, proof of a particular specific intent is required. In addition to the general intent to commit a crime. An example would be the crime of theft or robbery. The specific intent is to gain. But, that must be proven. So the specific intent to kill is essential in a homicide, in a murder, or in a parricide. In forcible abduction, the specific intent of lewd designs and lewd design must be proven. Okay, so you have to distinguish what is a general intent and what is also a specific intent, because specific intent must be proven in certain